We've got 4 pieces of sheetrock. We've got a shower cast left-hand drain shower pan. We got a shower drain. We've got shower pan liner. Niner. We got new turlets. We have 1/2-inch thick hardy backer wet area cement board, moisture resistance. We have insulation. Hold on, let me turn this off. Smelling a little weird in here. With the rain, we'll get to that in a minute. I got insulation. R13 is what we're going to use on this wall here, as I mentioned, I think earlier in this video. I know the voices in my head mentioned it. I don't know if I got it on video that I'm going to insulate this wall. In the event someone's sitting here and they're grunting one out, you don't need to hear that in the master bedroom. I've got some. I got some tar paper that I'm going to put this underneath. I'm going to put this against the studs underneath the hardy board. I don't like the hardy board directly contacting the wood. That's just me. Well, I've got quite a bit of that heavy felt paper there, so we'll do that. I got a new Delta shower valve. I got my soldering set up. You guys remember this? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I always solder with acetylene, and that's the design that I came up with to carry around my bee tank. It's a little heavy, that's why I put wheels on it. And then I've got my fittings. I know it's not organized like you real plumbers, but it is what it is. There's my fittings. So we're going to take the shower valve. This is the height for a tub. We're going to bring the shower valve up to right about belly button level for me. Seems to be the way to go. And we can get rid of tubifers like this that are scored and they're just weird. So I'm just going to start humping. I'm putting my ears in. Where are my ears? My ears are around here somewhere. Here they are. So we're going to put some music in my head. I'm also going to pull these valves today too and cap them. I've got some galley caps in the toilet valves back behind there, and that way I can not worry about those things getting in my way. So I'm just about ready to spark up the torch, and if I could offer any advice, and just take it with a grain of salt, because remember, it's coming from a carpenter and not a plumber. And the only reason I'm doing this shower valve myself is because my plumber has gone on a fishing trip for the week, and I'm not waiting another week to get this bathroom going. So this isn't anything beyond my ability. Sweating 1/2-inch copper is pretty straightforward to me at this level in my plumbing knowledge career, I guess, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I'm not waiting a week for him to get home, and I'm not hating on the fact that he took a little vacation, because Lord knows I could use one right about now, but that ain't gonna happen, so I ain't gonna complain. What did we do? I pulled all the angle stops and I capped it. That made it quite easy to drain the system. See, there is a little bit of piddly water on the floor. But tips for those of y'all that can maybe consider doing something like this. Remember, this is coming from a carpenter, not a plumber, but I do have the powers of observation, and I do watch and I ask questions, and yeah, we go from there. So I think that one of the most important things to do is, before you shut the water down on your house to sweat in a system like this, before you even consider striking a torch with a house that doesn't have any water readily available, is to have some sort of fire suppression device handy, or fill up a bucket of water with a gallon of water. Fill up a bucket with about a gallon of water. I always keep a rag in there as well, because you can throw a wet rag over smoldering stuff and it's pretty effective. You can have a water fire extinguisher. Dry chemical is really not your best use of fire suppression devices, not on a simple wood fire like this. If you were to charcoal some of these tubifers and get them going, water's your best bet. If you got a little shot of soap, throw a little soap in your water, because soap breaks down the surface tension of water and lets it penetrate into wood better. Secondly, I always dry fit everything. I don't solder and build my system. I build my system first. Everything has been cleaned. That's another good tip that Big Mike the plumber told me years ago, and that's probably saved me 10 years of stress added to my life because of leaky pipes. Because I was bad before, I guess, in that I'd always get leaks, man, and it was frustrating. And then he said, anyway, Big Mike showed me how to do it, and this is the way to do it. If you're going to err on anything, if you're going to go OCD on anything when it comes to sweating copper, go with cleaning. Clean, clean, clean. You can't be too clean. So I use emery cloth on the outside stuff. For the inside stuff, I use this cool little wire chingadera there. It's all cleaned. It all has flux in it, and that's how I build it. Yeah, I mean, that's the way to do it. I don't get leaks. And now that I say that, this system's going to leak once I pressurize it, but I don't get leaks. That's just what you got to do, man. Okay, I'll leave it at that. I run everything straight and true because I don't like seeing waves in my pipes. I know it has to happen sometimes. This is kind of janky. I don't even say janky, but this is creative. This is super solid. It's soup and solid. Soup and salad here. But that's just the way it's got to be because this vent pipe's right in the way. I don't have any choice where this thing is stacking out, so you got to work around it. So I secured it here, and I did a little shave in here, and then I had to do a little fiddle shavey here because that made this the most solid. And then I realized I had deep set this a little too much because with the trim ring, the way this is supposed to work with this trim ring, I'm not going to snap it on there because you got to pull it off when you do your soldering. This should be, in theory, flush to your finished surface. So I have this measured out. With this snapped in place, if I were to snap it in place, which I will not because it'll melt, this has to be, you figure I'm going to put some tar paper, which is about 1/16 of an inch, then you have 1/2 inch of that moisture resistant sheetrock, and then the tile is 3/8 of an inch plus about that much mastic. This is actually, with the trim ring, it's just about 3/4, it's a little proud of 3/4 of an inch above this tubifer. So by the time you put the tar paper, the 1/2 inch rock, the 3/8 tile, and the mortar, this should fit flush or even slightly recessed. I would rather err on the side of recessed. Not hypercritical on either side, because sometimes if you make this a little too deep set, you can just get longer screws to grab a hold of this housing. But you want to make sure your housing's empty too of all meltable components, because this brass takes a little more heat. This stuff gets hot with the acetylene, gets hot really fast, but you gotta concentrate a little more heat on these to get them to stick. So cleanliness, fire suppression, I think that's it. I don't know. I got this set, so again, I had to notch the tubifer to go around here, and then I had to notch this to make sure this is going to fit just about halfway through the sheetrock. I don't want this stuck out too far because you want that chrome escutcheon to cover everything, but then again, you don't want this too deep because then your shower head, once you put your arm, whatever. So that's the way I usually set it. I am going to solder this piece off. That's why I haven't screwed it down. There's no need to scorch this. So I'm going to pop this off, I'm going to solder on the ground, and then once I'm happy with it, I'm going to set it in place and then do the rest of the soldering. What else? Oh, coated screws. I'm using exterior coated screws. I don't use black screws. You don't want to use galvanized screws. So I use these exterior coated screws. I use them single use, brand new screws. In they go one time and you stop. You don't in and out, because then you're going to scratch the coating off and then you're touching two dissimilar metals. Turned off. We are not going to see, the sun came out too. They said it was going to rain all day, but how'd that work out? I never turn the valve all the way open. I never turn the water valve all the way open, because that way if you do have a blowout, so I'm just listening for leaks. If you open it all the way up from the get-go, first of all, you're going to create a water hammer, comes through your system and just pounds all your fittings and joints and corners and elbows. So you want to, when you restore water to a system, you want to do it slowly and let it equalize gradually, as opposed to creating water hammers. But secondly, in my opinion, and Big Mike actually told me this, so it's really not my opinion now that I say it out loud, you open it back a quarter of the way, it'll balance out, it will equalize, it will come to whatever street pressure is, 45 or so, 48 pounds, 40, I don't know, I haven't put a gauge on this house. But if something does blow out, and unfortunately if it does, and it happens, then you won't have the volume. You have the pressure but not the volume. Give you a little more of an opportunity to run to the front of the house like a madman. Man, oh man. Alright, I've tested for hot and for cold. I've got both. I ended up strapping it here just because that's what you got to do. This is where any force you're going to put on this system is going to be right here in the valve, so you got to have that strap. This is plenty secure right there.
So we're going to go ahead and fast forward this video about 48 hours from when I sweat those copper pipes in there. And honestly, I just had my head down and was just hustling. I got 2 days into getting it from the bare walls to this. It took me a minute to get that new shower pan to talk to the old cast iron drain wise, but I did, and I was able to pressure test it, and it doesn't leak. So I set the pan on top of that shower liner, pan liner, excuse me, and I usually run the pan liner at least 8 inches above all 3 sides of the pan. I put the house paper or felt paper back behind the shower enclosure. I use this 1/2 inch cement board, and that provides 2 layers of moisture protection, and then there's going to be some 3/8 porcelain tile on top of it, which will be a 3rd layer of moisture protection. I could have put this purple sheetrock all throughout the bathroom, including the shower enclosure, but this isn't that kind of job. You know, if it was a rental or if the homeowner didn't want to pay for cement board, because you know it all costs money. It's more materials, it's more time to work with the cement board. I've stuck probably 100 bathrooms together with ceramic tile going directly on top of purple rock, and it's held up quite fine. But like I said, that's not what he was looking for. That's not what he paid for, so he gets what he pays for, which is a quality job. Cement board should be extremely effective at keeping moisture on the shiny side of the shower enclosure. So now today's Friday, October 7th. I'll be back here Monday. I've got some work to do tomorrow, and hopefully I get a chance to do that lift pump in the Cummins. But I'll be back here in a couple days. Monday morning is the plan, and I'll start throwing some tile around. We'll see how she goes. Yep. Now, yeah, that's how I protect the shower pan. I do a cardboard cutout, then I do tape and paper on the edges, and then I use a multiple folded canvas drop cloth there to protect that porcelain, because you don't want to damage it at this point. All right, I gotta go, gotta run. See you.